What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co host and co produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And it is a hot, hazy, and humid June 22nd in the Greater Toronto area. Like the temperature Fahrenheit wise is like, I went outside, it's like 31 degrees, which is like 85 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's humidity on top of that. So I went out earlier this morning, did some stuff, and said by 1 o'clock, I ain't coming out of my yard again. But then we have Cesar here, and we're doing Black Canada Talking, a place for Black Canadians with their points, thoughts, POVs on local, national, international. Cesar's had an afternoon, so we're a little bit delayed today, but Cesar will tell you why we're a little bit delayed. So, Cesar, good to have you as always.
Thank you. Thank you always to have me, brothers, sisters, and allies. Thank you so much, Dr. Vibe and your whole team for having me.
Why were we delayed today, Cesar?
Oh, I was so upset. Well, traffic,
Yeah,
an accident on the 417 coming out of Ottawa. Um, of course, let's hope everybody's fine regarding the accident. It's
yeah.
not so much the issue. It's just that I like to think they could have had one additional lane for people to be able to drive and exit because I was literally stuck on the highway downtown Ottawa for 45 to 15 minutes. That
Wow.
was painful. That was painful.
Wow. 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 Is is traffic usually that bad in Ottawa?
Absolutely not. But at the same time, the congestion regarding traffic is understandable with the growth of population and everything else. But yeah, what can I say? It wasn't pleasant, but I was there along many others. Good thing we didn't see any road rage. And thank you, Dr. Vibe, for pushing the start of the show so that I can be here today uh, at this location where I'm at.
No problem. You have value. So where what takes you to the destination you're at today? You're obviously doing something for the next few days at this location.
Yes, yes, work. I'm going to be working here for Picton,
Okay.
Ontario.
Okay. And is it a place that you've been before?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes. It's it's I mean, in the business world, it is always something when people recognize you because you're a regular at the hotel.
Yep.
But also, and this is important for all people, but not only our people, establish good business relations. So when
Mm,
things happen, as things can always happen, you can get not preferential treatment, but when people as they're training a new front desk clerk, and the trainer said, "It's Cesar. You don't need to ask for his ID. We recognize him. He's been here before. He's a regular." So kind of creating that business relationship where uh,
nice.
it makes you want to come back. You kind of feel like you're home.
Nice. Nice. Really good. Really good. How is family?
Family is good.
Yeah, Father's Day. We you how was Father's Day this year?
Well, Father's Day is a little bit hard because you're so used to giving, but honestly, wife and daughter, my daughter made a very nice collage, some craft from her class
Excuse
for
me.
me, and yeah, 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 she something about loving me to the moon or something like that.
Okay. Your daughter loves you to the moon.
Loves me to the
Okay.
moon. She
Oh,
has she's a funny kid. She has quite a sense of humor, but she's tall. She's tall. It's like I'm like she just turned 4, and I see her with a 7-year old, and yeah, she's her mom is taller than me, but still, It's impressive to see how tall she is. But also the cheer, and she's very kind and good with the other kids. And I greatly attribute that. Let's be honest. I'm so often away from home for
Mm,
work, etc. So great tribute uh, to my wife. It is Father's Day, but and I'm not trying to minimize, obviously, the importance of Father's Day, men's mental health awareness,
yes.
etc., etc. But let us recognize that many of those will make us better men and help us to become men in every positive sense of the world are the female slash the woman in
Hmm.
our lives.
Hmm. Hmm.
So Father's Day, my appreciation to them, mother, sisters, um, female friends. Let us not forget the importance of female friends as well, uh,
Absolutely.
aunts, aunts and cousins, etc.
Absolutely. 100%. Uh, Before we go to break, just as what do you feel the state or the environment is? You are in Ottawa.
Mhm.
What is the environment for Black men in Ottawa from your lens at this time?
That's an interesting question, and I want to be careful uh, because to answer this, of course, there are limitations to my own environment and the circles that I'm in. But with all criticism that we can rightfully attribute to Canada and notably Ottawa,
Yep.
we are in an age in which there are potentialities that were not there before. And one of the is that we must be able, we're talking about Black people, Black men, but really all people, we have to be able to, how can I put it? What is driving us? What are our ambitions? But what is also the circles that we surround ourselves with? You cannot claim to want a family life, and yet every weekend you're out there partying and notably sexing women, men, and or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have to have a certain credibility to who and what we claim to be about that we live in. And I say age, social tensions, social issues, cultural so-called wars, it becomes even more important. We hear about the loneliness, great loneliness out there, challenges to dating, inflation, uh, more people, and notably people aging, staying with their parents, returning with their parents. So the reality of the situation becomes very much one in which, at the same time that we must value professional aspirations, aka money, we must value also our Black consciousness, our identity, our sense of self. And I say this, what I teach in regards to social issues, I tell people there is nothing wrong to being white, to being a man, to being Christian, to being a heterosexual. This is not my discourse that there's something wrong with that. And you shouldn't be ashamed of having whatever privilege or privileges that you have. The question becomes your mindset and your actions in regard to what you recognize, what you come to become aware of, of the advantages that you have, and thus the third part in terms of improving ourselves, addressing ourselves, making efforts continuously to become a better version of who we are for ourselves and for others. Others, the community, of course, but also the person we want to call partner or wife or husband and the children we wish to have. Challenges will always be there. When people say times today are so hard, I don't dare to dream of what it was like before the civil rights, what it was like during World War II. So let's put things in perspectives and so importantly, dare to ask for help. There
That
is no shame in asking for help because there is also no shame in crying when it's tough. The question, as I teach, and notably I teach my daughter, the African philosophy of Asiya from the Sawa people of Cameroon, my people, Asiya, it will be fine. Do you have someone who can you can lean your head on the shoulder? Someone who can borrow you some money in hard times? Someone who can be there to answer the phone? Dr. Vibe, remember how many times on the phone, me calling you,
Yep.
long driveway.
Yep.
Sometimes a brother to help you stay awake or, go park on the side of the road to rest. Someone to tell you you need to slow down. It's okay. So this is really what I would say beyond Ottawa and beyond black men, black community, but really for everyone.
Okay. Okay. On that, we're ready to go to break. We'll be back in 30 seconds. And whoa, like we wish that Cesar could be on every week, but it
Oh,
can't.
I'm honored.
But no, but you know what? He's got a lot going on, and I wanted his family is more important to me than anything else. Himself, his family. We'll be back in 30 seconds, and things are ever fast moving. So we'll be back in 30 seconds, and we'll get into it. So see you in a bit. Black Men Can Talk, a show where Black Canadian come together to have real and filtered conversations about life, culture, and community. Brothers, what is up?
A lot of kids just there just have no engagement whatsoever. They're literally just letting it go by and they're not advancing in what they need to know.
We really don't give enough credit to how much impact our unhealed trauma has on the future generations.
I realized what we were doing had a great impact within our community.
There we go. We'll be back at doing that in a few hours on Black Men Can Talk, where myself, Paul Osborne, brother Kofi, we talk about important issues to Black men and those who love them from a Black Indian man point of view. So let's do some housework before we go right into our conversation. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube and hit the notification button so you can get those subscriptions up. Like the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram and TikTok. Advertise your business, product, or service, please email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. Can't forget our good friend Dr. Tachi, Indie Suit Media, independent content creators platform, about 20 to 25 independent content creators, and to around coming up to 28,000 subscribers on YouTube in about 14, 15 months. That's phenomenal. And as I always say to Dr. Tachi, only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers. And I used to go, I had my imposter syndrome, but I feel good because I'm about over 1,800. Only 10% of all YouTube channels have over 1,000 subscribers. So I feel like I'm included somewhere. And then finally, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, you can get him at his email address, president@rootsandculturecanada.com. And you can catch him on Facebook at Cesar Remy Emery. Also, you'll notice that this is on for Black Canada Talking viewers on a little bit of a different look today. So we're trying out a new live stream platform. And one of the things also I notice and I watch things, a lot of people watch this program and a lot of my shows via the phone. One of the things you'll notice in the corner, there is a QR code. So if you want to get in touch with myself or find out more about me, swipe the QR code. It will take me to my YouTube channel. Swipe the one for Cesar, and I'll take you to his Facebook page. Let's get to it. In the last 24 hours, the United States inserts itself into Israel's war with Iran, striking 3 Iranian nuclear sites. It's been a while since we chatted, Cesar. So what do you got to say about this story?
It is, we are living through historic times. Historic times because Donald Trump did what, if I'm not mistaken, the last 4 American presidents, Biden, Obama, Bush Jr., and maybe even Clinton, didn't dare to do. It's a dangerous situation because Iran had announced that if America would get involved, they would retaliate. And now you see the uproar in terms of many people as saying this was unconstitutional, illegal strikes. It's an attack on a sovereign nation in terms of the United Nations, and Iran is entirely in its right to defend itself. Um, of course, geopolitically speaking, there is sound logic to not want Iran to have the nuclear weapon because there is a fear of what is called balkanization of the Middle East, aka an arms race that would start because of one of the countries, such as Iran, having a nuclear weapon. Saudi Arabia, but as well Turkey, would become tempted to have their own. However, we have to be honest. The only country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons is Israel. In denial, but estimates are of the range of 80 to 200 nuclear warheads. Now, let's also be honest. Israel is the only country in that region of the world that apparently is seen. I'm saying apparently. There's been more than one war. I think 4 or 5 wars in which other countries of the region oppose its existence that came through the United Nations 1947 1948 partition of British mandate Palestine in the creation of two territories that never truly came to light. But now we have a further continuation of what began October 7, 2023. If we are honest, is before October 7, 2023. But what happened with Hamas October 7, and I have to say this, Iran shot itself in the foot. If I dare to put it militarily, so in terms of human rights and even, you know, what do you call that? International courts, etc. Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, is a wanted man. And even in terms of Israel, he needs a continuation of war because if war stops, notably regarding Hamas in Gaza, as many people are talking openly, many people, including Jewish people, including Jewish politicians, as former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, but even uh, Israeli generals, head generals, speaking of war crimes, even genocide. If Netanyahu stops warfaring, he's very likely to end up in jail due to courts and trials. But here we have a situation in which Iran shot itself in the foot because what I said, I remember October 7th, Israel had a 24-hour window in which its fate would be decided. If October 7th, as Hamas was hoping, Hezbollah had attacked Israel and Iran had attacked Israel, it is very likely that Israel right now would have ceased to exist. Very likely, or the nature of war would be ongoing. I'm speaking purely militarily. Hezbollah missed his chance, and we see what happened to the leadership, notably Hassan Nasrallah, who has been assassinated by Israel. Iran missed his chance, and we see what has happened now with most of its military leadership, the supreme leader, Al Khamenei, in hiding, and we see what happened with Hamas.
Mm,
Well, he
mm.
did what Israel was supposed to do, and Netanyahu, in the protection of his people, now I'm saying protection of his people from a geopolitical lens. Let's be honest, is becoming very dangerous for Jewish people as fears of terrorists and notably attacks on Jewish people. I'm saying this as today it was reported in France a 17-year-old has been arrested for he was planning to go kill people at mosque. So this is conversation we're having. And in terms of Trump, if we look at it honestly, look, I've said it many times. I think Donald Trump's biggest wish was to be constantly on the news, to be constantly the man being talked about. Once again, he succeed. What is it? We are at month 5 of Trump 2.0. And what is seeming like a contradiction of his electoral claims and ambition, no more war in the Middle East, it seems like it has started. Will it turn into a war? I do not know because I remember in his first term, he had an Iranian general killed, and now this bombing of the three Iranian nuclear sites, notably with special bombs, I believe GB or GP 57, 30,000 pounds.
30,000.
Those
Now,
are,
so what we need to talk about is now they there's a lot of talk earlier in the week about this bomb, this big bomb, this big bomb, this
mhm.
big bomb. Now,
we, Dr.
report
Vibe, we went from the big, beautiful bill to the big, massive bomb. Literally, every week. It's like a TV show.
but
It's like,
everything's got to be big with him. But now
yes,
reports are saying now, though, early assessments raise questions over whether the U.S. destroyed bulk of enriched nuclear material. So there's now speculation that what the U.S. said they're going to do, they haven't done.
at the same time, the president was saying that he was not aware of the Israeli intent to strike Iran, and now it's being revealed that he was, and that Israel would not have started war with Iran without the green light from America. I mean, this is Donald Trump that honestly, how can people be surprised? He has gotten us so used to lie after lie. But here is Trump. Did Trump lie to his voters and MAGA base, claiming no more war in the Middle East, and now he's starting a new war? Allow me to let our people know. Back in 1979, the regime of the Shah of Iran, the Shah Pahlavi, fell. Who brought the Islamists of Khomeini in power in Iran? Dr. Vab, do you know who?
No.
It's like a movie that repeats itself. The same nations that keep talking about freedom and democracy: USA, France, Great Britain, Germany, and even Israel was approving, because at the time in 1979, alternative was the secularists of Islam, who were seen as socialists too close to USSR, aka the Egypt of Gamal Abdel Nasser, the Iraq of the Ba'ath Party of Saddam Hussein, just as Syria of the Al Assad family, aka Al Assad's father, they were seen too close to communism in the context of the Cold War. So the Western powers that speak of freedom and democracy were the ones who literally brought the Islamists, the Ayatollah, to Iran in power. For those who have any doubt, look where Ayatollah Khomeini was in exile. He wasn't in exile in Saudi Arabia. He wasn't in exile in, who knows, Algeria. He was in exile in France. He was in exile in France. So here, my issue, the longer conversation, is one in which it's a civilization battle. Dr. Vibe, allow me.
Go ahead.
2,500 years ago, the emperor of Persia, Cyrus, the founder of the Achaemenid dynasty, freed the Jews from the Babylonians. The Persians, that's the ethnicity of the majority of the population of Iran. The Babylonians are, and there are still Babylonians for those who do not know. So some people like to think Jewish people are the only surviving people from the times of the Bible and the Torah. That's not true. That's a Christian lie that Christians repeat to themselves. Like black Christians talking about Ethiopia, first nation, first Christian nation. Those are lies. Babylonians still exist, but the Babylonians are the majority population of today, Iraq. So the ancient Iranians freed the Jews in which Iraq has been destroyed. Iran is that much bigger. Iran has a national pride in regards to their identity. And in this world conversation, and this is what I posted today in French, we have black peoples who are dying in those places. There are black Palestinians, you rarely see them on TV. When I'm watching Al Jazeera, From time to time, you can see someone with a darker shade. It's a black person. There are blacks in the Israeli army. Beta Israel, wrongfully called Falasha. That's an insult. Beta Israel, Ethiopian Jews. And not just Ethiopian Jews, there are blacks in the Israeli army. Because in Israel, part of the integration into the society is through the army. You have Afro Iranians. Um, what are the names? The Kardashians in the friend circle. Look at the black friends. There are few black friends. You have two Afro Iranian sisters, whose name I forget. So we have black people in this conflict, and yet, today, Sunday, how many millions black people were praying to the Jesus Christ and the nation of Israel and supporting the state of Israel? Friday, how many of our black Muslim brothers and sisters were they praying, supporting Palestine and or Iran in the name of the Quran and Islam? Both religions, both ideologies imposed to Africans, black people, by slavery and colonization. And today, black people are praying for Israel, for Palestine, for Iran, etc. They're not praying for Congo, for Haiti, for Jamaica, for African Americans. They're not praying for Somalia, for Nigeria. I can go on. I can go on. It becomes a fundamental problem in which we are seen caring and involving ourselves in the conflicts of other people who have complete disregard for us and our conflicts. And they're not wrong. Like I said, one should be offended at what happened to Jewish people on October 7th, 2023. That same person should be offended at what is happening still to Palestinians, notably in Gaza. One should be worried. Attacks on Iran, just as they should be worried about Iran having a nuclear bomb. And one should also be worried about what could be the consequences of it. If there are terrorist attacks, please tell me. Why is it that last night I messaged my sister in New York, my cousin in Texas? Be careful. If there are terrorist attacks, it's not going to be kind of like a scam, right? It's not going to be 1-800, we're calling to scam you.
Hmm.
You see what I mean? Public transportation, nightclubs. We need to be aware of these such things. Because in this conversation, 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini, from what I read, I haven't yet had a chance to factually verify this, but from what I read, he freed black people who were at the American consulate in Tehran, or consulate or embassy in Tehran. It's not a fight. When I say this is not a fight, we should be concerned because all these who are in conflict also are basically trying to get the resources out of Africa, out of the Caribbean. There is systemic racism also in those places, in those countries that I just named. There's anti-black racism in Israel. There's racism in Iran. There's racism in Palestine. Anyone who's offended, you are hypocrites. You know I'm right. So this is a conflict on a larger scale, but I ask our people, are you also showing that concern for Haiti and Congo, for what's happening in Sudan, the largest humanitarian crisis right now? Have you posted about them? Are you praying about them? Have you taken any action? Are you concerned about what is happening to people who look like you?
Let me ask a few more conversation points here. What are your thoughts between the relationship between the United States and Israel?
The United States is an ally of Israel, notably because Israel would not exist without the United States. I'm talking about today's Israel. 1967 is where you have to go to understand the nature of that relationship in which, following showing the brilliant triumph of Israel over Arab armies in the Six Days War, a relationship of military but also economic assistance developed to the nature of up to, I believe it's $4 billion and more that the United States give to Israel, but that return is notably in the language of many, Israel being at the forefront of defense of the Western world against the Islamist armies. Before it was regular armies of Arab nations, and then it became Islamist movements, factions, aka jihadis and terrorists. That relationship is one in which, and Dr. Vab, you would never believe that I would be quoting this person in agreement. Marjorie Taylor Greene herself speaking of America is not there and should not be there fighting Israel wars. Israel is a nuclear powered, one of the richest nations in the world, greatly thanks to the USA, but that's what it is. That relationship only moves forward depending on the influence of someone as Benjamin Netanyahu upon who is sitting in the White House. This is not me saying it. Netanyahu said it himself. Israelis say it themselves. This is why Iran was not notably not bombed before, because Netanyahu was not able to sway someone like Joe Biden, and he didn't have a good relationship with Barack Obama either. There is common conversation. I'm not saying that I know this because I did not know Mr. Netanyahu, but there is common conversation of great dislike and distrust of Benjamin Netanyahu, who acts in the interest of Israel and greatly in his own self interest. Like Donald Trump, of course. So, if you ask me, we have a great alignment. When I say great, for the history books, for the news, for the media, but for the people, so many innocents will die. In Iran right now, since last week, uh, the Israeli bombings have killed, it is estimated, so the regime, the Ayatollah regime speaks, which are opposed categorically. Anyone who has a doubt, how can I support a theocratic government? Common sense. Uh, the regime claims 200 to 300 dead, but numbers on the ground from other sources, non-regime sources, speak of over 600. Meanwhile, in Israel, if I'm not mistaken, over 20 people have been killed. Innocents. Innocents. So the question now becomes, how many innocents are going to be killed if Iran retaliates? And Iran will retaliate. Iran cannot retaliate. They've been attacked. And notably, so they've been attacked by Israel after decades of saying death to Israel, death to USA. How can you be surprised? But they're the ones who have been attacked. They're not the ones who attacked Israel. And now USA has attacked them deliberately, kind of stabbing in the back in the middle of negotiations regarding nuclear uh, enrichment. So, yes, there will be retaliation. The question becomes, how many innocents are going to die in the USA? Maybe in France and Great Britain. And will people die also innocent in Canada where we are? Even though Canada had nothing to do with it, but association of being a
Yep.
Western country.
Yeah. From your lens, did the U.S. need to go this route?
I have to say no. I have to say no because the problem, if you claim diplomacy, aka talks regarding nuclear enrichment, is that if you claim diplomacy but then you use the military, you cannot be trusted. And the moment you cannot be trusted, it becomes a greater threat to everyone. Why would even the nation that you didn't attack now trust you for their own safety? Furthermore, if we are to be truly honest, there was already a process of dealing with the nuclear enrichment of Iran through the Obama talks and deals that were made with Iran along with other nations such as France, Great Britain, Germany, and the United Nations. Donald Trump is the one who put an end to it. So the conversation we're having today didn't really start October 7, 2023, with Hamas killing 1,200 Israeli/Jews. It started even before that in regards to Trump. And I'm not saying this in terms of, laying anything and everything upon Trump. But this is a longer conversation, and a conversation even longer because there is an element of Christian Zionism. Christians, for those who do not know, there are more Jewish people living in the United States than in Israel, and there are more Zionists living in the United States than in Israel. So this may be mind-boggling for people to figure out, but this is also part of the nature of why the USA is so tightly aligned with Israel beyond the nature of interest, culture, values, and the Bible, Judeo-Christian background. In Zionism, such as what's his name, former Governor Mike Huckabee, who was basically Trump's ambassador to Israel. They have a vision of a borderline World War III that would see the rapture, this uh, creation, this lie of Christian right wing Americans to prepare the return of Jesus Christ. The return. Jesus Christ for the Bible never existed. Anyone who disagrees, who has an issue with me saying that, show me factual proof of a virginal birth, of miracles, of resurrection. It's that simple. So they are in this literal reading of the Bible, of a book, any book, in which a man from 2,000 years ago, if we are honest, a Jewish man from Palestine, Donald Trump dines with white supremacists. Donald Trump is known to dislike Arab Muslims such as Palestinians, but literally part of its base is having people who are borderline ready in the name of God, the Bible, and Jesus Christ to literally bring the world to a World War III scenario, to bring the apocalypse, to bring Jesus Christ, because America is a nation chosen. But these people are fundamentally anti Semitic, by the way. They are fundamentally anti Semitic because ultimately for them, Israel support to Jewish people is just part of the plan towards the supremacy of, and I'm going to be very specific here, American Christian nationalism. This is what we're talking about. And we have black people who basically get swollen into this type of logic and ideals when truly, in the very logic of these people, blacks are nothing better than slaves and servants. Like I always laugh when I see a black person who claims to be the Church of the Latter Days or Jesus,
Mormons.
Mormon. Yeah, a black Mormon. Go back a few years and see what the Mormon ideology looked like regarding black people.
Hmm.
Our people try to be accepted to anything and everything, and as such, they easily become cannon fodder or check marks at the very most to say we're not racist, we got blacks, aka the janitor, the servant. It's pathetic.
What do you feel is next that we're going to see in this situation? Do you think there'll be negotiation or there'll be uh, increase in warfare?
I have to say increase, and but the reason is whether or not Iran attacks, because as you mentioned earlier, there's a question in terms of the efficiency of the American bombings on one side. On the other side, an outspoken desire of regime change by the Israeli Zionist government, which is notably sending propaganda in Iran for people to rise up against the regime. Don't get me wrong, The Ayatollah regime is very unpopular. I remember back in 2009, I believe it was 2009, the Green Revolution, that girl, Neda, got killed. I was in Cuba watching this. I was so upset when the coverage of the Green Revolution and the support they needed got ended because, and I say this with much respect, our beloved, the greatest entertainer in the world, Michael Jackson, died. Don't get me wrong. We can and we must cover the death of Michael Jackson. But you literally saw media change their lens from the protests in Iran, where people, innocents, are being killed in the Green Revolution, turn to Michael Jackson, the death of the greatest entertainer ever. That killed the movement. And then you have, was it 2 or 3 years ago, Massa Amini, woman protesting to remove the veil.
Yes.
Innocent women, but also men killed. The repression of political prisoners. But now, what has happened with Israel striking Iran and now USA coming together? They're not coming together to support the regime. They're coming together in national pride to say you can't do that to us. The regime in Iran has to change from within. It's like the logic of the egg. If you break the egg from outside, it's death. If the egg breaks from inside, it's Americans are about to do, Americans, Westerners, and I'm saying Westerners, Canada has not chosen to be involved. Just as back in 2003, when the invasion of Iraq happened, France didn't get involved, but France still suffered terrorist attacks. So we are here in Canada, but guilt by association.
Yeah.
1991, Kuwait, Iraq. 2003, Iraq. 2011, Libya. Too often based on lies to justify intervention while not allowing for people to really bring about the regime change that they require. This leads me strongly to think not only that Iran will respond, whether it be attacking American bases, cyber attacks, blocking the Strait of Hormuz,
Yeah.
aka rise in the price of gas,
Yeah.
or terrorist attack in Western nations.
We could go on further. I have a feeling we'll be talking about this on the next episode, but one last thing before we go on. Does the United States and a country that gives you a say, Iran, you can't produce nuclear stuff. Do they have the right to do that?
So, how can I put it? When it comes to politics and geopolitics, there is an expression, might is right. Do they have the right? It's not about having the right. If power, you create the right.
Okay.
Because it is highly hypocritical. Israel has a nuclear bomb,
Yeah.
thanks to, it's actually France in the Dimona, France, and then, if I recall properly, Great Britain. And the arrival of the nuclear bomb for Israel came following the 1956 Suez Crisis and the successful resistance of the Egyptian president Gamal Abdel Nasser. So Israel does have the nuclear bomb. Of course, America is not only has, but is the only nation to have used the nuclear bombs on civilians, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So for Iran, the claim is that yes, you can have uh, 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 once it exceeds 60% uh, grade of enrichment,
Yeah.
that purpose is for military purposes. And the nature of the regime, religious extremists, would lead to an apocalyptic scenario of using the bomb against the Zionists. A little thing of caution for people here. I'm not defending the Iranian regime by far. I oppose any theocratic government. But that government is not anti Jewish per se, it's anti Zionist. The oldest Jewish community in the world is not in Israel, it is not in Europe, it's in Iran. It's in Iran that Hebrews from the tribe of Judah, who had been deported about 65 years earlier, if I recall, by Nebuchadnezzar, is in Persia, today is Iran, that they became Jewish people. And as the prophet Esdras brought them back to Galilee and what we call today Palestine, there is a minority that chose to remain. That's where you have the oldest Jewish community in the world. Uh, and when I say this, don't misunderstand me. This Jewish community is part of the Iranian socio-political life. Even Jewish parliamentary members, they don't tell you that in the media. They don't tell you that in the media. So this is very much a civilizational conflict. Fortunately, I foresee more violence coming.
Globally?
Innocents dying. Well, if terrorism spreads, notably as Iran has proxy groups, it becomes globally.
Okay.
Let us not forget something very important here. Back in 1998, United States confrontation with jihadi terrorism led to Al Qaeda and the bombing in Khartoum in Sudan.
Right.
Just as when France of Nicolas Sarkozy, Great Britain of Tony Blair, and United States of Barack Obama in 2011 literally deposed Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, the toppling down is what is still causing the deaths of so many in the Sahel region because of terrorism, but also that has caused the death of thousands in the Mediterranean Sea. So indeed, globally, it's just the start of something that I think will be terrible.
Okay. We'll probably only get one more conversation topic in because you're only available. So let's go to 47 from Los Angeles to No King protests.
Actually, we can speak about the two topics because they're really connected, the last two topics. But what we end up seeing here, I mean, this is with Donald Trump. This is last week conversation. It's old now, but we can really add Iran in terms of how the No King protest were successful protests across the United States, and not just even here in Canada, you had protests that happened. Um, these protests were also they surpassed the popularity of the how do you call that the Tea Party movement 20 years ago. But the echo chamber of podcasts and some of these right wing websites minimize the volume and intensity of the protests, and unfortunately, left wing media has failed to really bring about the attention to them as they focus so much on the LA protest. Uh, it's important, I think, to also mention uh, as we're talking about this, and now with the situation in Iran, more and more Republican voters and even MAGA starting to not only question the methods, but even question why he sold them, aka buyer's remorse. So I've said it time and again. I feel no sympathy towards people who voted for Trump, but we cannot deny that it's not just the nature of power that can lead one to do what they claimed they wouldn't do in the campaign. But we have to look at it in terms of which, even as a majority of Americans, according to polls and surveys, agree that there is a nexus of immigration that needs to be tackled. People are disagreeing with the methods, but people are also disagreeing with the rhetoric. Let's not forget that in Minnesota, a politician and the spouse were killed. Political violence is on the rise in the United States.
Yes.
We cannot claim it accidental in light of who is president right now, his rhetoric, his methods, and his antics, from death sentence to the Central Park Innocent Five to comments about women, grab them by the p word, etc., etc. But these same type of issues that are coming in terms of addressing what is really seeming like more and more of a dictatorial, see, more and more of an autocracy in progress, completely disregarding the rule of law to the point where even a Supreme Court in majority of conservative lawmakers, including some that Trump has put himself, is standing up, rising up more and more against him. So this is something that we have to take into account as really dissension is growing in the United States. It's making the midterms elections coming very interesting, of course. But what it's also doing, ripping America, the United States, a little bit more each time. A little bit more each time in terms of to what extent, example, people who are ending friendships and dissociating from those who voted for Trump or those who voted for Harris, etc. To what extent will this country be able to remain united? United as it claims to be the United States.
Hmm. 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 Wow. Interesting. Interesting. All right, let's go to our final conversation piece. Juneteenth in the age of 47.
Yes, and honestly, I apologize because I really confirm what I said from the start, thinking in saying that talked about all the time, and look at that, all three of our topics concern him. But it's important. Well, but you can't help it because look, this is what power is. You can't escape talking about the person in power because the
But isn't
decision.
that what isn't that what he wants?
But that's what he wants. But it's inevitable because, in terms of the type of leadership that he conducts, it's not just his decisions, but even his own moods have an impact. Juneteenth, the celebration of the end of slavery, aka June 19th, 1865, here in Texas, so beyond the end of the Civil War, Trump did not even acknowledge it. And why would he? He represents white supremacy in the White House. He's talking about making America great again. Please, when was America ever great for black people? When was America ever great? Not just for African Americans descendants of slavery, but even for the Caribbean and African migrants. When was America great again when police shooting kills indiscriminately African Caribbeans and African Americans descendants of slavery? So we have a white supremacy organization in power that cannot recognize elements of black pride, aka removing things such as regarding Jackie Robinson and other black achievements and black figures out of history. So what is Juneteenth? But I like this. I like this because this is in the confrontation of mindsets that Trump and his followers bring when we look at something such as Juneteenth. It is us, Black people, to awaken and to really claim this identity and these elements of the struggles of our ancestors on both sides of the ocean and any sides of any ocean. This is what I'm talking about. So Juneteenth in the age of 47, 2025 to 2029, it is a conversation of defiance, of courage, of remembering Ida B. Wells just as Harriet Tubman, of remembering Nat Turner just as Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and so many other names. Emmett Till, yes. Trayvon Martin. George Floyd, yes. But every black father, mother, senior, and child around us who might become the next George Floyd, whether or not they make the news. This conversation becomes that much important even more, Dr. Vibe, as I know you may have plans of a gender conversation in the black community, as you were talking about before. We have too many of our black people who are thinking the grass is greener on the other side, whether it be strategically in terms of interracial relationships, whether it be into exiting the black community, whether it be into insulting members of the black community, insulting black men are trash, black women are this. But also, and I've seen the most extremist type of misandry, I forget her name, but uh, uh, Angela something, talking about the abortion of black male fetuses, black male babies, abortion of them because they would become enemies of the black woman.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes. Angela something. She was in a debate against her and another sister. The sister was this extremist, but this one, Angela, they were on a debate. Two black men, two black women, two black men. Some Fox show about the black soul, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Too many disunion in the black community. You look at the current conflict with Israel because of the Bible and they go to a church. Black people aligning with Palestine or Iran in the name of Allah. Black people desperate to be accepted as Jews, others as Indians, aka indigenous. Like, where are we going as a people?
It's a good question. And I
It's
think that
nothing close to 60 years ago. It's nothing similar to 100 years ago. But let me put this one drop of knowledge. 100 years ago, the KKK wanted to celebrate not only 1926, 150 years of the United States, and I think 50 or 60 years of KKK. This is when Black History, what is it? Negro History Day came to be, 1926, and I'm forgetting. I'm very much ashamed. I'm forgetting the name of our ancestor who created the Negro History Day that became Negro History Week, aka becoming Black History Month. Age. I mean, we've already entered that age, but we need more Black people to recognize the importance of addressing Black consciousness and Black pride, and notably beyond getting outrage in terms of social justice or the counseling or ADI. There is a war on Black bodies and on Black minds. But at the same time, there are more and more whites and other non Blacks awakening to the injustices that are happening. So, indeed, allies to walk with, to work with, to stand up with. This is something we must remember because a movement such as the Black Panther, and Dr. Vibe, I told you this before, the impact of the Black Panthers worldwide, the Dalit Black Panthers in India, Palestinian Black Panthers in Palestine, but even Israeli Black Panthers, my people, discover the black pride, the black consciousness. Discover how, as we're talking, the Belgian courts are considering to open an investigation and a trial into the murder, the assassination, the brutal assassination of a revered leader, Patrice Lumumba, in 1961, which, after everything they did to him, including burning him, gas, like liquefying him, only a golden tooth remains. An age of resistance, of black resistance, is paramount, but our black people must first recognize the blackness as part of the humanity. Because our people are, I'm African American first, I'm Jamaican, I am Congolese, Haitian, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, I am Jewish, I am liberal, I am a Democrat, I'm a Republican. We even have black MAGAs. Almost sounds like black maggots. No, we have to recognize this blackness. In the universe, the most common thing, Dr. Vab, do you know what's the most common thing in the universe? Do you know what is the most common thing in the universe, Dr. Vibe?
Off the top of my head, disagreement.
It's blackness.
True.
Blackness. It's blackness. Look at black energy, blackness. Look at the map of the universe. It's blackness. It's a little joke of a reference to how we cannot claim to see freedom, to see the light. Let's use any term that we want. You cannot claim to speak truth if you cannot be truthful to yourself in front of the mirror. This is part of why so many of our people suffer in the flesh, in the soul, in the mind. They reject what the mirror throws back at them. They have internalized racism, internalized complexes. Too many wish to wake up looking like something else. Juneteenth in the age of 47, in the current context of geopolitics. So we talk about Kwanzaa, as we will talk at the end of the year. We talk about national holidays of XYZ countries. Right here in Canada in August, Emancipation Day is coming in August.
Yep.
What is the mindset of our people if the athlete is dreaming of being with a white wife because she's a trophy that he can hold? What is the mindset of our people when the rapper hate white people this, white people that? As soon as he gets some fame and fortune, what does he do? He moves to the white neighborhood. Where is our people, the mindset of our people, when too many in the Caribbean and Africa are catching cancer because of bleaching the skin? When too many of our people want to teach the Bible and Quran but forget Black history? It's beyond Juneteenth. What is Black consciousness? What is Black pride? And where are Black actions in this age of open white supremacy in the White House? I find interesting all the Black people who were supporting Donald Trump, and then when he named his cabinet, show me the Black faces.
Only one.
Took you off for suckers, and you voted for him. Look at his policies. Do you know the Latinos for Trump? Deporting all of you. Oh, you thought it was only going to be the criminals and the Haitians. Sending you back to Cuba, Venezuela, and wherever you come from. Hasta la vista.
All right. That's it. Well, we want to say thank you so much to Cesar in regards to taking time and patience of
No, I'm
with all.
honored. I'm honored. I appreciate. Thanks for the privilege, the conversations, the sharing. It's for our people. It's not fair that as a professional, I get this honor and privilege of doing this every week to professionals and senior leaders, and too often I happen to be if not the only black person in the room, the only black man in the room. So we need to have this. But when I say to have this for our people, less hyperemotivity, less impulsivity, less opinions for the sake of opinions. And I'm talking about non-educated opinions. Let us educate our people, but let us also educate our allies and people who want to learn. Let us dare to create new narratives for everyone.
On that note, my friend, as always, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, you can email him, president at Roots and Culture Canada, and on Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. Again, if you're watching this on the replay and you've got your phone, swipe the QR code in the corner where his picture is, and it'll take you to his Facebook page. Excuse me.
Oh, very nice, very
Yeah,
nice.
so take it right there. So as always, Cesar, to you and your family, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace and have a good few days. Have a good rest tonight, especially.
NBA Finals, Game
Yeah.
7. I gotta go with the Pacers. I gotta go with the Pacers.
Well, we will follow up on your prediction the next time you're on.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Take care, Cesar. Be well. All
Thank
right.
you.
That's right. Good stuff. So we have finished another conversation. And as always, at the end of our conversations, want to say, as always, we like to say this. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Just gets longer and longer. To advertise your business, product, or service on our show, please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Then, if you want to get a hold of me, you can hit me at my website. Or don't hit me. Contact me via my website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram, the drvibeshow, X, Twitter, drvibeshow, email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, you can catch me on Substack at drvibe.substack.com/subscribe. And then you can catch me on Blue Sky. There's so many now at drvibe.bsky.social, TikTok, The Dr. Vibe Show, at The Dr. Vibe Show. That's THEDR.VIBESHOW. You can watch replays of this epic conversation at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace. God bless. Peace, well. Keep the faith. Walk good. We'll see you soon.
Just take a quick moment.
Yeah.
You just introduce yourself. Let Dr. Vibe welcome you into the show. As I
Oh.
told you, Dr. Vibe.
No. I welcome. I'm really good to have you here. I didn't want to. You were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt. You were on a roll, but
In an award created by whites, dominated by whites, run by whites. And you're a billionaire, bro. FYI, I don't. It's probably the first time of the year that I use the word bro.
yes, it is. That's the first time, as long as I've known you, you used it.
My daughter would laugh.
But for many people, the economy ain't great. There we go. I saw that.